Statelessness is the condition of being born in a nation without being recognized as a citizen. It means that you're not given an identification card, a birth certificate, or the right of nationality or citizenship. So you exist without license, without jurisdiction, without legal advocacy, without access to health care, education, or viable employment. Statelessness, it's estimated there are 12 to 15 million people worldwide living in this sort of state of non-existence. I believe it's a wide-scale human rights violation to even have this exist. I think if you're born in a nation, you have a right to be a citizen of that nation. I don't know how this can exist in certain countries around the world in the 21st century, but it certainly does. And what it does for the people who are stateless is put them in a very vulnerable position. If you don't have the rights of citizenship and nationality to do what normal citizens can do in a region, then you are subject to whatever comes your way. If you can't work a legal job, you are forced to do whatever you can to make money, which makes families and individuals vulnerable to exploitation. It makes them vulnerable to the risk of trafficking. They either may traffic their own children because they are in desperation to survive, to eat, and to live, or they may fall risk to external traffickers who promise jobs in other regions to help them survive. Thailand is a developing nation. There's 65 million people living here. 60% of the population which lives in the rural area as farmers, as agricultural workers, making less than $2 a day. If you are trying to support a family of 4 or 5 on that wage per day, how can you survive? People do what they have to do to eat and to live and to feed themselves. So statelessness is a real problem that a lot of authorities and governments have failed to address on a level that I think is necessary. If you are born in a country and maybe one of your parents is a local from that country and one of your other parents is a migrant from a foreign country, this can often make the child who's born under that circumstance stateless. And to fight the system to get citizenship and nationality is an uphill battle. It can be done. It's not impossible. I've seen it happen, but on a much small, very small scale. If an individual doesn't have citizenship, it puts them in a highly vulnerable circumstance to do whatever may be necessary to survive. This statelessness is a huge determination and factor in driving exploitation. It fuels trafficking, prostitution, all the myriad forms of trafficking, which can be for both men and women who may be working in factories, may be working in fisheries, may be sent out on the boats to fish for weeks at a time for very little pay. And these individuals in this vulnerable state of not being without country means they have to do whatever they can do to survive, and they have if they don't get paid at the end of their 2 weeks of working 18-hour days, they can do nothing about it. There is nobody advocating on their behalf. There is no legal jurisdiction for them. There is no rights for them, no laws for them, nothing to protect them, nothing. So the only people advocating on the behalf of stateless individuals are NGOs trying to provide alternatives for them, which may be education that they don't have access to publicly so they can have an alternative form of it, vocational training to teach skills and trades and techniques that can help individuals work and have a livelihood to support themselves. But the level of statelessness that exists in this region is high, and it means there's a lot of people falling through the cracks who aren't being helped, who aren't being given what they need, and who like I said, are living in this third and fourth world condition of without state, without country. And the fueling that this leads to exploitation, the two of them are so interconnected. They feed each other, and I think we can't really address the symptom of trafficking until we abolish statelessness.